There is an animal alive right now that can reset its life and start over. Not once, not twice, potentially forever. This is not science fiction. This is not a theory. It has been observed, studied, and confirmed by scientists. While every other living thing on this planet follows the same path toward aging and death, this creature does something else entirely. It goes back to the beginning and starts again. Today, we open the file. The creature is called Turritopsis dohrnii, a species of jellyfish so small it could sit on your fingernail. It lives in the Mediterranean Sea and in the waters of Japan. It has a translucent bell-shaped body, a bright red stomach glowing through its skin, and thin tentacles that spread like a crown. To look at it, there is nothing unusual. But here's where it gets strange. For most of its life, it behaves like any other animal. It is born, it feeds, it grows, it reproduces. And then, when its life should end, something impossible happens. Instead of dying, it sinks to the ocean floor, collapses in on itself, and begins to reverse. Completely. It transforms back into its earliest stage of life, a tiny, simple organism known as a cyst. From there, it grows again into a young jellyfish, and the cycle repeats, over and over again. Scientists call this process transdifferentiation, and it challenges one of the most basic rules of biology. To understand why this matters, you need to understand how your body works. In humans, cells have fixed roles. Muscle stays muscle, nerve stays nerve, skin stays skin. They don't switch, they don't reset. That identity is permanent, or at least we thought it was. Because Turritopsis dohrnii breaks that rule completely. When this jellyfish begins its reversal process, its cells do something scientists once believed was impossible. They change roles. A muscle cell can become a nerve cell. A nerve cell can become something else entirely. Fully developed, specialized cells abandon their identity and transform. This isn't healing. It isn't slowing aging. It's something far more extreme. The jellyfish is rebuilding itself cell by cell into an earlier version of its own body. Imagine a butterfly turning back into a caterpillar, then becoming a butterfly again and repeating that cycle indefinitely. That's what this organism does. The first person to observe this was a German marine biology student named Christian Sommer in 1988. He was studying jellyfish near the coast of Italy when he noticed something strange. Jellyfish that should have died weren't dying, they were reversing. But here's the surprising part. Almost no one paid attention. It wasn't until 1996 that researchers formally confirmed the discovery, and even then, it took years before the scientific world understood what it meant. Because what they were looking at was an organism that didn't follow the rules of aging at all. Now here's where this becomes bigger than a jellyfish. Aging is still not fully understood. Scientists know what happens. Cells divide, DNA gets damaged, systems wear down. But the deeper question is still open. Why do living things age instead of repairing themselves indefinitely? Turritopsis dohrnii suggests something unsettling, that the limit might not be absolute. If one organism evolved a way to reset its biological clock, then the mechanism exists somewhere in the code of life. The question is whether it can be understood and whether it can ever be used. A researcher named Shin Kubota has spent decades studying this jellyfish in Japan. He has triggered the reversal process multiple times in the lab. He has kept colonies alive through repeated life cycles. And his conclusion is simple. This organism holds information that could change how we understand aging itself. But that's not even the most interesting part. Early genetic studies showed that this jellyfish has unusually active genes linked to DNA repair, cellular maintenance, and cellular flexibility. In simple terms, its cells never fully lock into one identity. They remain adaptable, and that flexibility is what makes reversal possible. Whether that can ever apply to humans is still unknown. But the possibility alone has made this one of the most studied organisms in longevity research. But here's what most people don't tell you. Despite everything you just heard, most of these jellyfish still die. Which means even the immortal animal doesn't escape reality. Because its ability is not unlimited. It doesn't reset constantly. It doesn't live forever without risk. Reversal is a last resort, a response to stress, to injury, to starvation. And even when it succeeds, the world around it hasn't changed. There are still predators, still disease, still dangerous. So yes, it can start over, but it still has to survive again and again and again. What it has is not invincibility, it's something else. A second chance, then another, and another. And maybe that's the real story here. Not that death can be avoided, but that the line between ending and beginning is not as fixed as we thought. For millions of years, long before humans existed, this tiny creature has been quietly resetting itself in the depths of the ocean, breaking a rule we assumed applied to everything. Science is only beginning to understand why. The file on biological immortality is open, and it is far from closed. This has been Obscura Files. If this made you think differently, subscribe. This channel doesn't do noise, only things that matter. The next file is already coming. Don't miss it. Stay curious.